Hello guys, do you know the meaning of the word eerie? Let's see it. Eerie. Eerie means inspiring inexplicable fear, dread or uneasiness. But why I'm reminding of this word? The reason behind this, remember when once I tell you or told you that to hear the album Wall from the Pink Floyd. Actually the wall that we see as a protection from the outside, our houses have wall to protect you, but in the offhand way it also limits ourselves. So when trapped inside a wall, someone can fear inexplicable fear, dread or uneasiness. It may be of getting out of the wall, or it may be of the filling the holes in the wall in order to protect itself from the fear of the world. And this eeriness
Eerie.
eeriness can be felt in this simple 2-minute song called Empty Spaces from the same album Pink Floyd The Wall. I was just listening this just before starting or hitting the record. I not able to play this on this channel because of some copyright issues. But I am bounded, you are not. You can certainly listen to the empty spaces. And in order to fully get the meaning behind this song, you have to listen the complete the wall album. The whole volume cover to cover from the first track to the last track. And it's a must listen. I have already told you. So we are not going to repeat that. But it's a epitome of airiness. The epitome means the peak of something. Hence the airiness peak. Empty spaces. And without any further delay, we will continue our oops. If I remember correctly, we are in halfway through the oops. So here is our JavaScript tutorial. Let's close the airiness for a while because we don't want to live inside a wall. And here we are at constructor method. Before beginning, let me start my best note-taking app ever made by Microsoft. Microsoft is the same company who also made the OneNote app. And I don't even thought, I never thought so that the OneNote can compete, Microsoft VS Code can compete with OneNote in paradigm of note taking. I know it doesn't have some stylus magic stuff, but it is more than what it is. A basic simple app with extensible quality. So without any further delay, let's start. First, what was the oops? So oops. In JavaScript, a class can only have one constructor method. Okay. And the extends keywords is used to create a subclass that inherits properties and methods from a parent class or superclass. This allows the subclass to use and override the functionality of parent class. The super keyword is used to call the constructor method of the parent class from within a subclass. Okay. To make a method enumerable, you can use object define property, object.define property. I think I should highlight this. To explicitly set its property descriptor to make it enumerable. Static methods are a feature of classes in JavaScript that allows you to define methods that belong to class itself rather than to instances of class. This means you can call static method without creating the instance of class, which is a great thing. Next, a static method cannot access instance property directly. This within a static method refers to the class itself, not the instance of class. To create a private field in class, we can use the hash symbol. Sorry guys, I got a sneeze in between. Method overriding occurs when a subclass provides specific implementation of the method that is already defined in its parent class. This allows the subclass to change or extend the behavior of the inherited method. Okay, class declaration must have a name. Expression can be anonymous. Expression is basically when we are defining a class behind a variable. So we are writing a variable name, then equal to, then class. Then it is called the class expression. While the declaration is declaring a class in the wild. Just like the function, when we have a declarative function, which we when we directly use a function and then starts the function. But if we start writing it behind a variable name, or const this is equal to this function, then this would be an expression. Class declarations are hoisted while the class expressions are not. And class expression can indeed be defined inside function while declaration. Sorry guys, I think I got cold. And with the constant sneezing, continuing with constant sneezing, I am very sure that we're going to complete all these 5 things in this video. And we have already seen this object constructor and prototype in JavaScript. Constructor and prototype. I don't know. Uh, One second. I have to pause the video for a second because my nose is running. So, where we were? Yes, we have already seen this object constructor and prototype in JavaScript. We will see again if needed. So, the prototype chain is indeed used for both property lookup and method inheritance. Okay. We cannot add a property to an existing constructor like adding a property to an object. For adding a property, we need to declare it under a constructor. Okay. Let's start with constructor method right now. I am assuming that you guys are following this series, not watching the videos from here and there, because every next thing is dependent on the previous thing that we have already learned. And hence, this is the reason that I am also continuing this series because you know the force of habit. Despite having cold and sneezes, I am still continuing this, and I am also hoping that you are doing the same for this session and for upcoming as well. So, JavaScript object.prototype.constructor property. The constructor property returns a reference to the object constructor function that has created the instance of an object. The value of constructor is not a string containing the function name, but it is a reference to the function. Okay. Okay. So the function gfg name is equal to this dot name. Let geek for geek is equal to new gfg geeks. Okay. And the geek for dot constructor. So this is the output. It is the prototype of a constructor. Okay. Below example illustrates how to change the constructor of an object. Okay. A function which is a type. We have types with new array, boolean, date, error, function, regular expression. We are defining another variable j with value 0 while j is less than the types dot length. So the length of everything, which is the first thing, second thing, third thing, fourth thing, fifth thing, sixth thing. Okay. Type dot j dot constructor equal to types. Type j is equal to type dot j dot constructor type j instance of types type j dot two strings and add it and increment the j console dot types dot join New line. This is the new line thing. And what we are getting is types dot join new line. I did not get a single thing what this code is trying to do here. Let's copy it. Go to our teacher of teacher, ChatGPT, and ask it. First, say logout. Ask it what this code is trying to do. This code is creating an array of different type of objects and then modifying that array to hold specific information about each object. Here's the breakdown of what it's doing. But first it is defining a function using function type. Then it is creating an array of different types. The types array contains various types of data. An empty array, which is a new array, and this literal, a boolean object, a data object, an error object, a function object, and a regular expression object with a regex pattern. Next, it is iterating over these types. A while loop iterates over the types array. For each element, it sets the constructor property of the object to the types, effectively changing what constructor function of that object will report as. It then creates a new array for each type that contains the modified constructor function, a boolean indicating whether the current object is an instance of type, which will always be false since none of the original objects are instance of types. I'm very sorry if I have to pause the videos here and there because my nose is running heavily and I don't know why. Maybe I'm predicting that I will got fever in upcoming days. Who knows? Continuing with this. So where we were, it then creates a new array for each type that contains the modified constructor function, a boolean indicating whether the current object is instance of types, which always be false since none of the original object are instances of type, and the string representation of the object obtained from toString method. Okay. And finally, it is logging the results as a string. Key points. The original types are not changed, but the constructor property is modified. The output will show the modified constructor, whether the object is an instance of type, and the string representation of the original object. The results will be interesting because after modification, every object will report that its constructor is types and the instance of types will be false. The output will vary based on the type of each object. Let's take a look to the output. For the first thing, function type, which is false, function type, which is again false. For second thing, what was the second thing? Second thing is a boolean. Third thing is a date, double false. Function boolean, native code, false, false. I still didn't get it. I still did not get it. Can you be more simpler? Sure, here is simpler explanation. Code defines an empty function called type. Okay. It creates an array called types containing various array of objects like array, boolean, error, object, this is this. Then this code uses a while loop to go through each item in the types array. Okay. For each item, it changes the constructor property to types. This means that it pretends that each object was created with the types function. Okay. And what was the code of doing this? The code is types of the thing that it is dot constructor is equal to types. Okay, so we are using the constructor property to set it as types. Okay, so we are creating an empty function. Then we are creating an array, and these two are distinct things. We have to keep in mind. Then we are creating a variable and assigning it 0. And then we are going to update the variable as the loop continues. And then we are basically joining it, making it a stringify it. Okay, uh, type j is equal to types dot j dot constructor type j instance of type. And by setting the constructor of type, it does not becomes the instance of type. And this is the thing that this code want to convey with us. Let's see, let's continue from here. For each element, it sets the constructor property of the object to types, effectively changing what constructor function of the object will report. It then creates a new array of each type that contains the modified constructor function, a boolean indicating whether the current object is instance of type, which will always be false since none of the original objects are instances of type. The string representation of the object obtained from toString method. Okay, okay. In the end, it shows how each original object behave when you pretend its constructor is types. You will see that all objects report their constructor as types but are not actually instance of it. This output will show information neatly. Then what's the difference in being in being a constructor and not being an instance? Constructor is a function that creates an object. When you use the new keyword with a function, it creates new object and sets its constructor property to that function. In your code, changing the constructor to types means that each object will now report that it was created with types, even though it really it was or not. Okay. And in second thing, instance. An instance is a specific object created by constructor. When you check if an object is an instance of creator, a constructor using instance of, it checks the prototype chain if the object's prototype matches the constructor. So in your code, since the original object were created by different constructor like array, boolean, they are not the instances of type. So type j will always be false. Okay, having a constructor, meaning that the object claims to we have created by a specific function, in this case types. And being an instance means the object was actually created by the constructor and is part of its prototype chain. So having a constructor means object is claiming something. But the being an instance means the prototype is actually part of prototype chain. So kind of adopted and biological child. So even though the objects now say they are created by types and they don't really belong to types in terms of their structure and behavior. Okay. So I'm gonna copy these two things and paste it. Copy it, paste it. Okay, constructor is a function that creates an object. An instance is a specific object created by constructor. By being an instance mean that the object was actually created by the constructor. Okay. While having a constructor object claimed to be created by a specific function. Okay. Now I see. And for this kind of stuff, because this was such overwhelming thing, because it blew my mind in the first web page. So I'm going to read the FAQs as well. What is the purpose of constructor property? And we will have a quiz soon. The constructor property is primarily used to identify and reference the constructor function of an object. It is useful for creating instance of the same type and for inheritance. How does the constructor property work with inheritance? In inheritance, the constructor property of the prototype can be reassigned to a point to the correct constructor function of the derived class. What happens if the constructor property is deleted? If the constructor property is deleted from an object prototype, the prototype chain will be followed to find a constructor property further up the chain. This is generally not recommended and can lead to unexpected behavior. What is the most common use of object.prototype.constructor property? To identify the constructor function that created an instance, and for creating the new instance and ensuring the proper reference to the constructor function in inheritance. Okay. Time to have some quiz. Copying this, starting a new tab with chat, ping chat, and here we have Bing chat. Pasting it, go. Which of the following correctly describes object.prototype.constructor? A method that returns the first property of an object. A property that references the function that created an instance prototype. A method that modifies the constructor of an object. And a property that stores the creation of an object. I think I'm going with B, a property that references the function that created the instance prototype. Going with B. If an object is created using constructor function, the constructor properties of an object prototype points back to the constructor function. True. Let's pause this. And yes, exactly. The constructor property indeed points back to the function that created the object's prototype. What would be the output of following thing or following code? Function is a car which has a make and model, and this make refers to this make, and this dot model refers to this model. Okay, so we have a new car. My car dot constructor equal to car, and I think because we are using this, then this refers to the function, hence it is a true. Yes, the comparison is true. You can change the constructor property of object prototype. Yes, we can. Hence true. But how? This can be changed. This can be changed using dot constructor is equal to by adding something. Now you have an object created from a constructor function, and then you can change its prototype constructor property to point to a different function. Okay. What will the output of constructor dot in this scenario? Animal. Yes. In ask me tough questions from you have a constructor function vehicle which is inherited by another constructor function car. After creating an instance of car, you change the prototype of vehicle to include the new method. Consider the following code. Okay, so we have vehicle dot prototype dot get type equal to function return this dot type. Okay, now we have a new function car which has type and make vehicle dot call this and type. This dot make is equal to make. Car dot prototype is equal to object dot create vehicle dot prototype. Okay, and car dot prototype constructor here. Okay, vehicle dot prototype dot get make is equal to function return this dot make. What will be the output of console dot log my car dot get make? My car get make. Do we have a get make here? No, none. And we have defined this get make here. So it whether it will be hoisted or not. So what should be the output of my car dot get make? Get make this dot make. Okay. I think the output should be Toyota because the vehicle dot call this dot type and the make should be this one make, and here we are also returning the make. So let's see Toyota. The new method will be hoisted. I'm just guessing. Let's see. Almost there. Actually work because when you add a new method to vehicles product, all objects inheriting from vehicle dot prototype like car gain access to that method. And here is the corrected breakdown. You create my car using the car constructor. Okay. Then you add getMake to vehicle.prototype. Okay. Because car prototype inherits from vehicle prototype and my car can access getMake. Okay. However, if my car.getMap results an error or undefined, it's likely due to this .make not being set correctly. In this case, it will output undefined. This occurs because the vehicle does not have a make property, hence it does not know what this .make refers to. Okay. Another question. Tricky one this. Consider you have a constructor function person that sets the name property and you want to add a method to the property that returns a greeting. Additionally, you create another constructor function employee that extends person and adds a job title property. Here's the twist. Employee should have a method that not only returns the greeting from person but also appends its own job title. So we have to complete this. Let's see. So this is a recall from the previous video and we have to remove this and copy this new code. Let me remove the terminal for a second. A function this person name this dot name equal to name person dot prototype dot greet equal to a function which is hello my name is this, and we have to make employee correctly extend person. Okay, function employee. Okay, and override the greet method. Hello, my name is Alice. I am an engineer. I didn't get it. Let's allow ChatGPT to do this heavy lifting for me. To make the employee inherit from function a person and modify the greet method to include the job title, you can use the prototypal inheritance in JavaScript. Set up the inheritance by setting the properties of employee to an instance of person. Okay, so how can we do this? So function employee name and job title person dot call. Okay, person dot call. Let me write it by my hand so it will, so I will able to pick the tiny pieces. So what we are doing is person dot call. So we are calling the above function with what this and name. Okay, so we are using this thing, uh, this employee and the name from the parameter. Okay, and then what we are calling this dot job title is equal to job title. Call the person's constructor to set the name. Then employee should inherit from the person. So what to do next? Employee dot prototype, employee prototype should be object dot create person dot prototype. Object dot create person dot And what we are doing, employee dot prototype dot constructor constructor is. And now we have to write the grid thing, just copying and let's run this. Hello, my name is Alice and I'm an engineer. Let's try to actually understand what the three lines that we have just added is doing. The employee.prototype line, object.create, that sets the prototype of the employee to a new object created from the person.prototype, establishing the inheritance relationship. Okay. Person.call, this calls the person constructor with the current context, this allowing the employee to be in employee instance to inherit the name property. Okay, so we are inheriting this name thing from this to this. Okay, with the parameter name. Okay, and we are extending job title using this dot job title. So this on the line 12 refers to this employee, while the this thing refers to this one, the person, I guess. It was a tough thing, but it's great. Okay, so we are actually changing its constructor method to employee, so it can inherit uh, this grid method and overriding the grid method as well. Prototype.grid.call. So we are again calling the function, the call method, if you remember. And this was such a heavy dose. Let's continue to encapsulation. What did it open? It was not encapsulation. Encapsulation open link on a new tab. So indeed, encapsulation is opening this page. Introduction to oops in JavaScript. Yes, we have something called encapsulation here. So as JavaScript is widely used in web development, in this article we will explore some of the object-oriented mechanisms supported by JavaScript to get most of it. Some common interview questions in JavaScript on OOPS include: how is OOPS implemented in JavaScript? How it differs from its other language? How can you implement inheritance in JavaScript? Object. An object is a unique entity that contains properties and methods. For example, a car is a real object which had some characteristic like color, type, model, horsepower, and performs certain actions like driving. The characteristic of an object are called properties in object-oriented programming, and actions are called method. An object is instance of a class. Object is instance of a class. Okay. Objects are everywhere in JavaScript. Almost every element is an object, whether it is a function, array, or a string. Method in JavaScript is the property of an object whose value is a function. Okay. An object can be created by using a object literal or object constructor. So this is the literal one. Okay. And this is the constructor one. First defining a function, then using the function to create new instances of an person object. The JavaScript object or create method also creates a new object using the existing object as prototype of the newly created object. So, for example, what we're doing is we are creating a variable and storing an object. It's studying false print introduction function, which is console log. My name is this, and I'm studying this dot is studying. So const me object dot create coder. Okay, and my dot name is Mukul is studying true. Okay, the classes are blueprint of an object, and class can have many objects because the class is a template, which objects are instance of the class or concrete implementation. Okay, but before we move further into implementation, we should know, unlike other object oriented programming or other languages, there are no classes in on JavaScript. We only have object. To be more precise, JavaScript is a prototype based object oriented language, which means it does not have classes. Rather, it defines behavior using a constructor function and then reuses its the prototype. Then it reusing the prototype. Even the classes provided by ECMA 2015 are objects. This is the actual difference. And I think I need to be copy. I think I should mention it by using the three hashes. JS is not JS have no this. JavaScript is a prototype based object oriented language, means it does not have classes. Rather, it defines the behavior using constructor function and then reuses it using the prototype. Okay. JavaScript classes introduced in ECMA 25 are the primarily syntactical sugar over JavaScript existing prototype based inherit. The class syntax is not introducing a new object oriented inheritance model to JavaScript. JavaScript classes provide a much simpler and clearer syntax to create object and deal with inheritance. Let's use the ES6 classes, and then we will look at the traditional way of defining an object. And certainly, I am very sure that the defining a class or working with and understanding the code is far more easier when we are using the ES6 classes. And this dot prototype method is actually mind boggling that we have just seen here. The person dot prototype dot greet is this function. Okay. So what we are doing is we are defining a method, I think, because it is an act of greeting, and it is what was it? It is a property. This dot name is equal to name, which is as static as parameter or as dynamic as a parameter can be. Now person dot call, this calls the person constructor with the current context this, allowing the employee instance to inherit the name property. Object dot create, this sets the prototype of to a new object created from person dot prototype. Okay. Okay. I think we are missing this, so we have to learn this. Name maker engine, Hayabusa, Suzuki, and engine size. Traditional way. This was the traditional way. Function vehicle name. Okay, this dot name, this dot maker, this dot engine, and a vehicle dot prototype dot get details is equal to a function. Console log, the name of bike is this dot name. So what we did here is to define a method get details. Now I get it. Now we have something. Abstraction means displaying only the essential information and hiding the details. Data abstraction refers to providing only essential information about the data to the outside world, hiding the background details or implementation. Encapsulation. The process of wrapping properties and function within a single unit is called encapsulation. And this reminds of the encapsulation of PDU as we study in our NA. On the foundation of that, this channel has been created, because just right after the first video on this channel, what I did is to complete the CCNA syllabus, because before this mic I had to use a earphone, and to keep it in front of mic so no other noise can be captured. uh, those were the days of struggle. But those days have been past, and now we are completing JavaScript. So calling class function, this dot name is equal to name, this dot id is id, add address a method, this dot add is equal to address, get details is again a method, console dot this dot name, address is this dot add. In this example, we simply create a person object using the constructor, initialize that property and using its function. We are not bothered by the implementation detail. Okay, and address and get details. Okay, so this remind of something. We cannot add a property to an existing constructor, but for adding a property, we need to declare under the constructor. I think it needed some more light. I have heard that, but how is this possible that we are adding a property using a method? This and adding a property and using the method add underscore. Let's see. It's true, when you add property directly in the constructor function, it's immediately available to all instances. However, you can also dynamically add properties to an instance using method. Okay. So we can add the dynamically add property to the instance. This add property to this does not violate the principle because method can add or modify properties on the instance dynamic. Explain the when you create a constructor function, properties are generally defined inside the constructor itself. This ensures that every instance created with the constructor has those properties. Here's a refresher. Okay, adding properties later. John.address works, but why this works? Okay. However, if you add properties dynamically using method, this property will only exist on instances where the method was called. Example: person.prototype.addAddress is equal to function address. This dot address equal to address. Okay. If the property is intended to be shared among all instances, it better to define on the prototype or directly within the constructor. Otherwise, it's a dynamic addition. When you're adding a property directly in the constructor, like this dot property, it ensures that every instance gets. But when you're dynamically adding a property via a method, it's added to the particular instance only when the method is called. This maintains the integrity of the object structure defined with the constructor, but gives the flexibility for the dynamic addition. It was a lot. Next, output. In this example, we simply create a person object using constructor, initializing its property, and use its function. We're not bothered by implementation. We are working with object interface without considering the implementation of detail. Sometimes encapsulation refers to hiding of data or data abstraction, which means representation of essential feature, hiding the background detail, and most of the OOP language, object-oriented programming language, provide access to modifier to restrict the scope of variable. But there are no such access modifier in JavaScript. There are certain ways which can restrict the scope of variable. Get details no access. Get details access. Okay. Well, there is a method I can access from. Okay. This dot get details access. By changing the way we define a function, we can restrict scope. The only difference this is that we are using this, and by using the this keyword, actually the both parameters can be accessed. So now the following function has access to this first name and last name. So hence we can see that it is printed. But in this scenario, we are not using this. So this let keyword, the variable or the values defined inside a variable cannot be accessed by this. Let's get more light on this. Yes. Abstraction is the programming is about hiding the complex implementation details and exposing the only necessary parts of an object. In JavaScript, this is often achieved using closures to create private variables and methods. Yeah, directly access to first name. You are trying to access first name directly from the person one instance, which won't work because they are private variable. Accessing private method. The method different no is defined as a private function, but you are trying to access it directly from the instance, which is not possible. So this is the correct demonstration. The first name equal to f name and last name is equal to l name. Private method. Get details no access equal to function. Function name is this public method. This dot get details access function. This is this undefined. Trying to access private variables directly will be undefined, and trying to access the private method directly will result in an error. What? Oh, then private variable is looking at. In JavaScript, private variables like the in your example are created using closures. Means they are scoped to the function in which they are defined. Okay. The first name are defined within the function variable. This means they are only accessible within the function and are not visible outside it. When you create an instance of person, the public method get forms a closure, hence retains access to the private variable. Even though the execution context of person has completed, the inner function, the public method, retains a reference to the private variable. Okay, and encapsulation, because of this closure, the private variables remain encapsulated within the person function, meaning they cannot be accessed or modified directly from the outside the function. Now it is a simple breakdown. Function, which is a person, and it is only accessible within the function. But here we are defining a new function, so we are creating an instance of that person. Because it is an instance of the person rather than the person itself, so hence we don't have access to this. Only this public method can be uh, accessed via this. Okay, I starting to get a little. Next is inheritance. It is a concept in which some properties and methods of an object are being used by another object. So unlike most of the OOPS language, where classes inherit classes, JavaScript object inherit object. That is, certain feature, property and methods of one object can be reused by another object. Let's understand the inheritance and the polymorphism with an example. But before continuing this example, I'm going to need a little bit of hydration break. So I also advise you guys, it's already been an hour. Make sure that you are hydrated while studying these kind of stuff, because these kind of things may take a toll over your head. So you rest at all, recharge yourself, and then we will continue. Stay hydrated, stay healthy. Now, time to continue this. We are having an inheritance example, which we have a class called person. We have a constructor in the class, a method that creates its function. This dot name, which is a name, we are returning this to string. The name of the person is this dot name. Okay. And then we have a new class student, which extend this person. We are having a name, and we are using this super method instead of dot call method, which we use in earlier forms of JavaScript, because we are using the ES6 method here. Super dot name, super name, and this dot id is an id. So we are extending this name with the id here, and then we are overriding the toString function, return super.toString. We are returning this method as well as a new thing, student id, this dot id. Okay. Note the person and student objects both have the same method, toString, and this is called the method overriding. Method overriding allows a method in child class to have the same name, polymorphism, and method signature as of parent class. And due to the fancy words, I started loving this and saving it. Next, in the above code, the super keyword is used to refer to the immediate parent class. And polymorphism is one of the core concepts of object-oriented programming language. Polymorphism means the same function with a different signature called many times. In real life, a boy at the same time may be student, a class monitor. So a boy can perform different operations at same time. Polymorphism can be achieved by method overwriting and method overloading. So should I highlight this polymorphism? Indeed. And we are also done to this as let's continue to quizzes. I am going with chat Bing with this one. Yes, I am ready. Which keyword is used to create a class in JavaScript? C. Ask the harder questions. I am feeling confident enough that I am going to answer it in one shot. Let's see how true I am. Really. Consider the following code snippet. Okay. And what will the output of pet.speak? So we are defining this one. Okay. And we have a speak method which is overriding from this dot name box. Okay. Rex box would be the output. Rex barks because we are overriding the speak. Exactly. Now we have a more challenging. And next time I am going to ask it to ask me some twisty type of question. I am feeling confident over this. So my confidence need to be broken in order to build it again. So we have a class vehicle. We're using a constructor make and model. This dot make model, and we have a description method. It returns the vehicle is this and this. Okay. Now we have a v class car which extends this vehicle, and it as an extension it has year. So we are supering this. We are actually inheriting the make and model of the vehicle, and this dot year becomes year and describes. Okay, so now it's my time to write some dirty code. And do you recognize that this is the same thing as this, but this is an ES6 method, and this was an older method. I just want to save this this file. So what I'm doing is making a copy and pasting it. Okay. And instead of renaming it, I'm going to save it. uh, Traditional versus ES6. And what I'm going to do is to first copy this, pasting this code here and completing the code. What to comment? The upgrade. Okay. And the upgrade should be what we are, the output should be this vehicle is 2021 Toyota Corolla. So what can we write? Description, describe, return. We are backticking this. Let's copy the output, copy this and paste it. So this for 2021 have to make this dot make, but to keep it under curly brace, and the curly braces should be preceded with a dollar symbol. This vehicle is this dot make. Okay. No, this dot year. This dot year. And instead of Toyota, where we are putting Toyota, we are putting Toyota as a what? Make. Once again, Toyota. Instead of Toyota, we are using this dot. First, let me things. This dot make. This dot. I think we're done with this. Let's run it. Let's do a multi-line comment. How does multi-line comment? So we are not using 3 bricks. We are using 3 backtick. And let's run it again. Hello, my name is Alice and I'm an engineer. Still is not working as expected. Without any cheating, let's jump to the conclusion. Copying it, pasting it. But there's a tiny bit mission. You should call the parent class describe method within the class describe, for example. So what did I missed? And this dot here, this dot make, this dot model. So this thing was right. What was my fault? I'm still not able to understand. What changes did you make in respect to my code? Okay. Now a tricky question. You have a base class shape with a static method describe. Two subclasses, circle and square, inherit from shape. Okay. You want to ensure that calling the describe method on each subclass returns a unique message, but also leverage the base class method. So actually what did this is asking to override the static method. Let ask GPT how to override the static method. How to override the static method. Okay, static sound. Okay, so nothing new here. Copy this, go to our paste it, and static describe. We simply have to copy this, paste it here again, and the circle dot describe should output this thing. Copy it. This is a circle, which is a shape, and I think we have done with this. Isn't it very easy? Which is okay, which is a shape. Okay. So instead of writing this shape statically, we are using this thing, super dot describe. Okay. Okay, so I have statically written this here, but we also want to add this colon. Okay, okay. Got it. I felt nothing. Please ask me a real mind boggling one. Oh Bhagwan. Oh my god, alright, get ready for a challenge that will twist your neurons. You are tasked with creating a class structure for simulation game that include different types of vehicle. Each vehicle should have a move method that returns a specific movement description. However, the plane class should also have an altitude property and fly method that overrides the move method with a message including its altitude. Okay. Ensure that the plane can still use the modified move method alongside its fly method. Modify the plane class to include a move method that calls the fly method but ensure it still fits the vehicle hierarchy properly. A plane extends the vehicle. If I copy this, paste it here, and what we have to do is to copy this move method from here, append it to this one here, and this dot type. What we need as output, plain jet is flying. Okay, plain jet is flying. FLY. Let's run it. I copy this, and plain jet is flying. Plain jet is flying at altitude, and I think we are done. Copying, pasting it. See. These are not mind boggling, these are very easy challenge. Let's continue and move to next sheet, which is JavaScript inheritance. I'm very sure it going to be very, very, very short. As JavaScript, why do wait? Okay. We have already learned about this, and I think we are still on the same page. So what Geek for Geek is actually mind boggling us by pasting the same hyperlink over different topics, because we have already seen this thing. पैसे तो नहीं लगाए. I haven't spent a penny, but and now time to study polymorphism. Is it? It is still the same link. Oh my, Geek for Geek, and time for abstraction. It is also the same thing. Is it different? Polymorphism. Okay. Okay. Let's, without any further delay, let's have a quiz from polymorphism. And we will directly prompt it to ask me the twisted question. Ask me the twisted question. Which of the following best describes polymorphism in JavaScript? Allowing an object to take on many forms, assigning multiple properties, or combining multiple objects, creating multiple instances. A. Polymorphisms can be achieved using through method overriding and method overloading in JavaScript. True. And almost there, but not quite. JavaScript does not support method overloading directly, but it does support indirectly. Here's a twisted challenge. You have a base circle class, calculate area, two subclasses that override this calculate their respective area. Additionally, you have a display area that polymorphically use calculate area on different shapes. Okay. Fill in the display area function so it polymorphically calls calculate area for each shape in the array and logs in the to the area of console. Okay, how to actually do that? See, third class extend sec. But what we did actually, we are doing nothing. Okay, first let's copy it. Copying everything, pasting with this one, and what we are doing is function display area shapes. Shapes dot for each shape, which is a function circle and a rectangle. It was indeed a challenging one. Let ask GPT to solve it. I prefer this one. So I will prefer the faster one, of course. To complete your display, you need to iterate over the shapes and calculate the area. Then you can print. Okay. For each. Okay. Shape. Console.log area shape.calculate area. Okay. Circle 5. Okay. We are just iterating over an array. It is also the array itself is asking to call the respective function. So it is calling this circle, and we have a value. So this value will be passed in its constructor and the radius, and it will also be calculated with the return method. It was so easy, so easy, but I didn't get it. And what was the last one? Abstraction. We have done polymorphism. The remaining was inheritance. Okay. Rabbit jumps. True. Eats food. True. Animal prototype. Rabbit. I am very sure that we have already read this stuff. Let's before summarizing or wrapping up this video, let's have a few quizzes from this. And again, I am going to ask it to ask the most twisted question. Ask the most twisted questions. Twisted. Mind is twisting up. Mind is twisting up. Which of the following statement about prototype inheritance in JavaScript is false? Object can inherit properties from another object using the prototype chain. Object prototype is at the top of prototype chain. JavaScript supports multiple inheritance through prototype. Function in JavaScript can also have a prototype property. Indeed, is what the twisted question. An object can inherit properties from another object using prototype chain. Does it? I don't know. Please explain every point. Object can inherit properties from another object using the prototype chain. True, in JavaScript, object inherits properties and methods from another object through the prototype chain. Every object has a prototype and object inherits directly from the other object. Okay. The object prototype is the top of prototype chain, which is also true. The object prototype is indeed at the top of prototype chain. It is the parent of all objects in JavaScript. If an object does not find a property in its own prototype, it looks up the chain and eventually reaches object.prototype. JavaScript support multiple inheritance through prototypes. False. JavaScript does not support multiple inheritance. An object can only inherit it from one prototype. However, you can use mixins or other pattern to achieve similar. And the function in can also have a prototype property. Yes, it can have. Now you have a constructor function animal with a method speak. And now we are back with the old type of code. Dog.prototype.constructor equal to dog. Dog.prototype speak equal to a function. Describe the prototype change for my dog and my cat. So new dog is Rex. This is a very simple question, and I think yes, we are doing the same with cat, but we are not defining a cat sound. So answer for the two would be dog barks, cat makes a noise, and answer for the one would be hmm, my dog has prototype dog. As we are overriding with dog dot prototype dot constructor, but still is not an instance of animal. Same goes for cat. Dog.prototype is an instance of animal because we did dog.prototype equal to object.create. Okay, okay. 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 No, I don't want to explore deeper right now, but we will. And from the next video, I think we are quite done now, but there is still lot to done and lot to do. So we will meet again and we will explore what to do next. This prototype chain thing remains. Just as a quick link, let's see what this thing is. And it is some idiotic shit that we have already learned. From the next now on, we will see the JavaScript memory management. We will again revise the promises. And if still we have time, we will see the iterator and generators once again. See you guys. See you. Bye. That's all for this video. I just want to you guys to have a peek over my desktop. And this is a Halloween theme, a wallpaper sent by the National Geographic to my desktop. Actually, KD comes with this thing that we can set the picture of the day as our default wallpaper and will automatically be upgraded as soon the clock hits 12 o'clock. And that's all for this video. See you guys. Bye. Goodbye. Good night. Or good morning, wherever you are seeing from wherever. That's all. Bye.